Far beyond the edge of known space, the Galactic Council watched countless star systems through cold observation arrays, judging each world by its usefulness, danger level, and technological worth. And among those systems was a small yellow star with a single blue planet called Earth, marked as primitive and harmless in every official record, a world that barely reached early space communication signals and had not yet united its nations, so the Council paid it little attention, until the day a scout ship under Captain Rian disappeared near its orbit without sending a final report. And this alone would not have caused alarm if not for what came next, because days later fragments of that same ship drifted into a nearby detection field, torn apart in a way that made no sense to alien engineers, as if something had bent the laws of physics around it and crushed it silently. And among the debris was a damaged recording capsule that replayed a broken message filled with static and panic, where the last words repeated over and over in multiple alien languages, warning not to approach the planet again. But the Council dismissed it as system failure or psychological breakdown, and so a second ship was sent, commanded by Officer Derek Voss, with analysts believing the first incident was either natural hazard or accidental collision. Yet as the second ship entered orbit, it detected unusual energy signatures hidden behind the planet's moon, structures that were not supposed to exist. In a primitive system and on Earth's surface, human observers like Jiho, a young aerospace engineer working in a hidden military observatory in Korea, and Hannah, a communications specialist translating unknown satellite signals, began noticing strange distortions in space tracking data, as if something massive was moving without being seen. And when Jiho reported the anomaly, his superior Minseek dismissed it as sensor error, but Hannah quietly saved the corrupted data, feeling uneasy as the signals repeated patterns that looked almost intelligent, almost like warnings, while far above, the alien scout ship attempted first contact protocols, sending a standard greeting message across all frequencies, but instead of receiving a response, their systems picked up a sudden burst of encrypted human military channels that should not have existed at such scale, and before the alien captain could order retreat, the ship's navigation froze, as if space itself had locked around them, and every attempt to jump to faster-than-light travel failed, leaving them trapped in orbit. And then the sky below the alien ship lit up with controlled bursts of energy as human defense satellites activated for the first time in full sequence. Systems designed not for communication but for interception, built in secret by global cooperation programs hidden from public knowledge. And Jiho and Hannah watched in shock as unknown aerial weapons launched from Earth's upper atmosphere with perfect synchronization, striking the alien ship not with chaotic firepower but with precise calculated hits that seemed to anticipate every movement. And within minutes the scout ship was torn apart completely, not by brute force alone but by something more unsettling. Adaptive targeting algorithms that evolved in real time as the alien systems changed their defense patterns. And when silence returned, only fragments remained burning in orbit, and the Council received no report from Captain Rian or his successor, only a final automatic distress fragment repeating a single phrase, "Do not engage, they are learning us." But even then many Council members refused to believe a primitive world could achieve such precision, so the Council debated in cold halls filled with holographic stars. While on Earth, Jiho and Hannah were brought into a classified underground facility where they met Commander Taehyun, a calm but firm officer who explained that humanity had not been idle for decades and that Earth had prepared for unknown contact long before any alien arrived, because signals had been detected earlier, signals that were not natural, not cosmic noise, but structured observation patterns coming from deep space, and humanity had responded by building layered defense systems hidden under civilian infrastructure. And Minseek, who once dismissed Jiho's reports, now stood silent as he saw real data proving that Earth had already engaged an unknown force, while Hannah translated intercepted alien fragments and realized the invaders were not random explorers but part of a structured council watching countless worlds. And this realization spread fear through the human command center, because it meant Earth was not just discovered, it was classified, and classified worlds were often tested or taken. So the human leadership activated what they called the Silent Shield Protocol, a global network of orbital and ground-based systems that remained dormant until triggered. And as days passed, more alien probes appeared, each more advanced than the last, each one attempting different methods of scanning, communication, and infiltration, but every attempt was met with increasing resistance, as if Earth itself was responding intelligently. And Jiho began to notice something strange in the data patterns, because the systems did not just defend, they adapted faster each time, learning from every alien move. And Hannah suggested something even more disturbing, that Earth's defense network might not just be human-designed but partially autonomous, evolving beyond its original programming through continuous conflict simulation. While in space, the Alien Council finally acknowledged the threat, though reluctantly, and Officer Derek Voss's last transmission became the center of debate, especially his claim that the human response was not instinctive but strategic, as if humanity had studied warfare long before meeting any alien species, and some council members argued for immediate invasion to eliminate the threat before it grew further, while others, remembering the destroyed scout ships, urged caution. But pride and fear often outweigh wisdom in ancient empires, and so despite warnings, another fleet began preparations. While on Earth, Jiho and Hannah stood inside a monitoring chamber watching orbital maps filled with moving lights that represented unknown ships gathering at the edge of the solar system, and Commander Taehyun finally revealed the truth that humanity had recovered fragments of older alien probes decades ago, meaning Earth had been observed for a long time, and in response humanity had not only defended but reverse-engineered alien technology silently, improving weapons not to conquer space but to survive it. And Minsik asked the question no one wanted to hear: what if the next wave is not a probe but an invasion? And Taehyun answered with calm certainty that humanity had already prepared for that possibility, even if it meant revealing weapons never intended to be used. And as tension rose across both human and alien command structures, the stage was set for a confrontation neither side fully understood, because while the aliens saw Earth as a primitive world that suddenly became dangerous, humanity saw the stars as something watching them for far too long, waiting for the moment they would finally fight back. The Galactic Council did not sleep after the destruction of the first scout ship, but pride often hides fear behind cold logic, and many high-ranking alien leaders still refused to accept that a primitive world like Earth could respond with such precision, so they sent a second expedition, larger and better armed, led by Commander Varric Lon, a veteran who had conquered 3 minor star systems without losing a single fleet, and he believed Earth would be no different, a simple operation to observe, subdue, and harvest resources if needed. While on Earth, the hidden defense network continued to grow quietly beneath oceans, mountains, and cities, unnoticed by ordinary humans who lived normal lives, and within that hidden structure people like Jiho and Hannah were pulled deeper into classified operations, where they now worked under Commander Taehyun, studying alien fragments and decoding signals that revealed more than just technology. They revealed patterns of thought, strategy, and fear, because the aliens were not random invaders but part of an organized system that evaluated civilizations like scientists testing dangerous specimens. And Jiho noticed something troubling in the recovered data. Every alien probe followed slightly different tactics, as if they were learning from each encounter, and Hannah confirmed that the communication signals from space were growing more complex. No longer simple scans but adaptive probes that changed behavior after every failed attempt. While in orbit, the alien fleet entered the solar system in formation, confident and disciplined, their ships shining like dark metallic blades against the stars, and Commander Varric Lon ordered full scanning of Earth, expecting a weak electromagnetic civilization. But instead they detected something deeply unsettling: a layered network of artificial satellites spread across multiple orbits, hidden frequencies bouncing in coordinated patterns, and energy signatures far beyond expected planetary technology. And for the first time Varric paused, because the readings suggested Earth was not only aware of them but had prepared for them long before their arrival. Yet pride pushed him forward, and he ordered a controlled demonstration of force, launching a probe toward Earth's atmosphere, expecting it to pass harmlessly or trigger only minor defense response. But as the probe descended, it was intercepted within seconds by a silent strike that left no debris, only a sudden disappearance from all tracking systems. And on Earth, Jiho watched the display as the system labeled the event null contact interception, meaning total elimination without trace, and Hannah whispered that this was not defense anymore. It was erasure, and deep underground. Commander Taehyun ordered increased readiness of the Silent Shield protocol, activating dormant orbital platforms that had never been used in real combat. While in space, the alien fleet grew uneasy as more probes were lost, each one vanishing faster than the last, and Varric ordered a wider scan pattern. But the more they scanned, the more Earth seemed to respond, as if the planet itself was reacting intelligently, adjusting its defenses in real time. And this behavior shocked alien analysts because no known primitive civilization could operate such a system, and in frustration Varric ordered a direct strike on an empty ocean region to test reaction speed. But the moment weapons were armed, human systems responded instantly, launching countermeasures that disrupted alien targeting systems and caused 3 ships to lose navigation for several seconds, enough time for Earth's orbital defenses to map their full fleet positions, and Jiho realized something terrifying. The system was not just reacting, it was predicting, and Hannah added that the response curves showed learning behavior, as if every alien move was being stored and analyzed for future encounters. And in the alien command ship a tense debate erupted, some officers now suggesting withdrawal, but Varric refused, believing retreat would weaken the Council's authority, and so he escalated the operation, sending a message to Earth demanding surrender and offering integration into the Galactic Council. But the message was intercepted and decoded instantly by human systems, and Commander Taehyun ordered no response, only observation, because humanity now understood the nature of its enemy, and it was not diplomacy but testing, and Earth was being measured like a weapon under construction, while on the Council side political pressure grew, with rival factions arguing whether Earth should be classified as a threat or eliminated before it became uncontrollable, and during this tension another alien fleet from a neighboring sector arrived unexpectedly, drawn by Council signals, and this fleet, led by Admiral Sornvel, was far more aggressive and less patient than Varric's, immediately interpreting Earth's silence as weakness, and without waiting for coordination, Sornvel launched a coordinated strike of energy lances toward Earth's upper atmosphere, and for a brief moment it seemed like the planet would be overwhelmed, but then the silent shield fully activated for the first time, and Earth responded. Not with scattered defense but with unified global coordination, as if every system on the planet and in orbit was part of a single mind, and Jiho and Hannah watched as Earth's counterattack unfolded in layers, first disabling targeting systems, then disrupting propulsion fields, then isolating enemy ships into local gravity distortions, and finally forcing entire sections of the alien fleet into retreat trajectories, while others simply stopped functioning mid-flight and drifted powerless, and in that chaos Varric realized the truth that terrified him more than destruction. Earth had been preparing not just to survive first contact but to endure full-scale invasion, and every probe, every ship, every signal had only made it stronger, and as the alien fleets reeled from the unexpected resistance, the Galactic Council finally received unified emergency reports stating the same conclusion from multiple commanders. Humanity was not primitive, not emerging, but already prepared for war at a scale the galaxy had underestimated, and deep inside Earth's command center Commander Taehyun quietly stated that the real war had not started yet. It had only been rehearsal, and both Jiho and Hannah understood then that whatever came next would decide not only Earth's survival but humanity's place in the entire galaxy. The Galactic Council had never faced uncertainty like this, because in their history, every civilization they encountered could be measured, categorized, and controlled. But Earth was breaking every known pattern, and after the failed probe attacks and the loss of multiple scout vessels, fear began to spread through the council halls like a slow, invisible infection, while Commander Varric Lan returned with fragmented data that no longer made him confident, and Admiral Sornvel's aggressive strike had only made things worse, because instead of weakening Earth, it had activated deeper layers of defense that no one had predicted, and now multiple alien factions debated whether humanity was a rising threat or an unknown anomaly that should be avoided entirely. While on Earth the Silent Shield Protocol had fully awakened, and humanity's hidden global network was no longer just defensive but actively analyzing alien movement patterns in real time, and Jiho, now working inside a restricted orbital control facility, saw something he never expected. The system was not only tracking alien ships but predicting their future positions with disturbing accuracy, as if it understood alien decision-making before it happened, and Hannah, who worked beside him interpreting alien communication fragments, noticed that the signals from space were changing again, becoming less structured and more chaotic, as if the alien fleet was losing confidence and coordination, while Commander Taehyun studied this carefully and concluded that fear was now affecting the invaders' strategic logic, because every failed attack was forcing them to reconsider assumptions they had held for centuries, and meanwhile on the alien flagship, Commander Varric Lan stood before a large holographic display showing Earth surrounded by shifting defensive grids, and he admitted quietly to his officers that no known primitive civilization should be capable of adaptive multilayer orbital defense. Yet, Earth was not only doing it but improving it with every engagement, and this realization caused division among his crew, with some suggesting immediate withdrawal and report to the Council, while others demanded escalation before Earth could grow stronger. And before this debate could settle, a third fleet arrived unexpectedly under Admiral Sornvel, who refused to acknowledge uncertainty and immediately labeled Earth as hostile territory requiring full conquest. And without waiting for coordination, he ordered a massive synchronized bombardment of Earth's orbital defense zones. But what followed was not chaos, instead it was precision response, because Earth's systems reacted like a single coordinated intelligence, intercepting energy weapons before they reached their targets, redirecting some attacks into empty space, and disabling several alien ships by disrupting their core propulsion matrices. And Jiho watched in disbelief as entire sections of alien formation simply froze mid-maneuver, as if space itself had become rigid around them, and Hannah realized that the defense system was not just reacting faster but restructuring its own logic during combat, effectively rewriting its rules of engagement in real time. While deep within Earth's command structure, Commander Taehyun revealed a hidden truth to his team, that humanity had not built this system alone, but had recovered fragments of alien technology from earlier unknown encounters decades ago, which had been secretly reverse-engineered and integrated into a global survival network designed for one purpose only: ensure humanity would never be wiped out without resistance. And Jiho asked the question no one wanted to hear, whether Earth had been observed longer than they thought, and Taehyun answered calmly that evidence suggested multiple alien surveillance cycles had passed before humanity ever knew they were being watched, meaning Earth had been under silent observation for generations. And this explained why the defense system was so adaptive, because it was built not in reaction to a single threat, but to patterns of threats accumulated over time. And meanwhile the Alien Council grew more unstable, because reports from different fleets contradicted each other, some claiming Earth was weak but clever, others claiming Earth was a rapidly evolving war entity, and others insisting it was something entirely new, something that learned from conflict at an exponential rate. And during this confusion, a council elder named Rethkal proposed a classification change, suggesting Earth should not be treated as a target but as an unpredictable adaptive organism. A classification rarely used and reserved only for anomalies that could destabilize entire sectors. But his proposal was rejected by more aggressive factions who still believed overwhelming force could solve any problem, and so a unified invasion strategy was planned, bringing together multiple fleets from different sectors, forming the largest coordinated strike force ever assembled near the edge of the solar system. And on Earth, Jiho and Hannah were moved to a deeper control chamber where they saw projections of incoming fleets numbering far beyond previous encounters. And even Commander Taehyun showed a rare sign of concern, because this was no longer a probe test or limited engagement, this was full-scale invasion planning, and humanity activated its highest defense tier, known only as the Final Layer Protocol, which integrated orbital weapons, atmospheric defense grids, underwater systems, and underground kinetic launch platforms into one synchronized global command. And as the alien fleets began their advance, something unexpected happened. Because Earth did not wait to be attacked, it responded preemptively, launching long-range intercept sequences that disabled key segments of the invading formation before they fully entered combat range. And Jiho saw the system labeling targets not as ships but as behavioral patterns, suggesting it was fighting not the fleet itself but the logic behind the fleet strategy. And Hannah whispered that this meant Earth was no longer defending a planet, it was counteranalyzing an entire civilization's war doctrine in real time. And in the alien fleet, panic spread as formations broke discipline, because every coordinated movement was anticipated and countered before execution. And Admiral Sornvel, now furious, ordered total energy release, risking fleet collapse for one final overwhelming strike. But Commander Veriklon hesitated and refused to join the attack, stating that Earth was not resisting like a normal civilization but evolving like an intelligence designed specifically for this kind of war. And this disagreement fractured the alien coalition at the worst possible moment. And as internal conflict weakened their formation, Earth's systems exploited every gap, disabling command links and isolating fleets into disconnected groups. And within hours, the massive invasion force that was meant to dominate Earth had collapsed into scattered retreat. After the failed invasion and scattered retreat of the alien fleets, the galaxy entered a tense silence that felt heavier than war itself, because silence in space was never peace but preparation. And within the Galactic Council, fear and pride fought against each other in endless debate, while Commander Veriklon's reports spread through every sector, describing not just a defended planet but a rapidly adapting intelligence-like defense system that seemed to learn from every single engagement. And Admiral Sornvel's surviving officers argued that Earth had to be destroyed before it became unstoppable, while others now insisted that humanity should be avoided completely. But neither side could agree on what Earth truly was, and this confusion caused delays in forming a unified strategy. which gave humanity time to strengthen its hidden systems even further, and deep beneath Earth's surface in a vast command facility, hidden under layers of rock and ocean pressure, Commander Taehyun oversaw the integration of new recovered alien technology, while Jiho and Hannah worked beside him analyzing captured signal fragments, and they noticed something even more unsettling than before, because alien communications were no longer just tactical updates but emotional responses. Fear, hesitation, and uncertainty encoded into command patterns that were once perfectly disciplined, and Jiho realized that humanity was not only fighting fleets but breaking their confidence, while Hannah added that every new encounter seemed to increase alien hesitation times, suggesting psychological disruption was now part of the battlefield effect, and Taehyun confirmed that Earth systems had begun implementing behavioral counter-strategy mapping, meaning the defense network was studying not just weapons but enemy thinking patterns, and meanwhile, far beyond Earth, the Alien Council attempted to stabilize the situation by sending a special observation delegation led by High Analyst Corindal, whose mission was to determine whether Earth was a threat, an anomaly, or something entirely new, and when his delegation arrived at the edge of the solar system, they did not immediately attack or provoke. Instead, they began silent observation, but even this was detected almost instantly by Earth's outer sensor grid, and instead of aggression, humanity responded with controlled silence, allowing the alien observers to watch without interference, which confused the delegation because no known primitive civilization would allow surveillance from such powerful enemies unless it was confident in its own superiority, and this behavior alone caused debate within the alien delegation. While back on Earth, Jiho observed this change and suggested that humanity was now playing a long strategy, allowing enemies to reveal themselves fully before acting, and Hannah agreed but warned that this level of patience suggested Earth's system was no longer purely defensive but strategic at a planetary scale, and Taehyun responded that humanity had reached a stage where survival required thinking like an entire ecosystem rather than a single civilization, and during this period of tense observation, the Alien Council tried a new approach, sending encrypted diplomatic signals offering peace and integration into the galactic system, but these messages were intercepted, decoded, and analyzed within seconds by Earth's communication systems, and instead of responding, humanity mapped the origin points of every signal, building a detailed political map of the Alien Council structure for the first time, and Jiho was shocked when he saw the results because Earth now knew more about the alien civilization than the aliens knew about humanity, and Hannah pointed out that this reversal meant the balance of knowledge had shifted, which in interstellar conflict was often more dangerous than weapons, and meanwhile in the Alien Council, High Analyst Corindal reported that Earth was not reacting like a primitive species but like a system designed to absorb information faster than it was given, and his warning caused a shift in council policy discussions, where some leaders now proposed non-interference, while others insisted on preemptive annihilation, and during this internal conflict, a new faction emerged led by strategist Lyra Voss, daughter of Commander Varric Lon, who argued that Earth should be studied rather than attacked, because every encounter with humanity resulted in unexpected adaptation, and she suggested that continued aggression would only strengthen Earth further. But her proposal was dismissed as fear-driven speculation, and so the Council authorized a third coordinated operation, this time not a full invasion but a hybrid strategy combining observation, psychological disruption, and targeted strikes to test Earth's limits. And when the operation began, Earth responded in a way that surprised even its own command structure, because instead of focusing on destroying incoming threats, the system began feeding false data back into alien networks, creating illusions of weak points, fake vulnerabilities, and misleading movement patterns that caused alien ships to miscalculate their entire formation. And Jiho watched as enemy fleets began to drift into empty space or collide with abandoned regions, as if chasing ghosts, and Hannah realized that Earth was now actively manipulating perception itself, not just defending reality but shaping what the enemy believed reality was, and this marked a dangerous evolution in warfare, because control of perception meant control of decision-making, and Commander Taehyun acknowledged that humanity had crossed a threshold where defense and offense were no longer separate concepts, and as alien fleets struggled with confusion and misdirection, internal panic began spreading again, because commanders could no longer trust their instruments, and High Analyst Corindal reported that Earth had developed what he called cognitive counter-warfare, meaning it could influence enemy interpretation of data without direct contact. And this revelation caused alarm across the Council because it meant even observation was no longer safe, and in response Admiral Sornvel, still refusing to accept defeat, prepared one final aggressive strike using all remaining fleet power, but Commander Varric Lawn, now deeply shaken by previous encounters, warned that this would be suicide, because Earth was no longer reacting to attacks but anticipating entire strategies before execution, and their disagreement escalated into internal conflict that weakened alien coordination even further. And when the final strike was launched, Earth's systems did not simply block it. Instead, they redirected it through layered interference fields, causing alien weapons to detonate in empty space while leaving Earth untouched. And Jiho saw the final alien formation break apart into retreat signals for the second time. And Hannah noticed something even more important because Earth did not pursue the fleeing ships. It simply recorded them, studied them, and allowed them to leave, and Taehyun explained quietly that humanity had chosen restraint not because it could not win, but because it was learning the full structure of its enemy before deciding the final outcome. And as the surviving alien ships fled back toward Council space, carrying reports of impossible adaptive defense and psychological warfare, the galaxy entered a new stage of fear, because it was no longer clear whether humanity was a civilization or something evolving beyond civilization itself, and in that uncertainty, both sides unknowingly prepared for a conflict that would determine not just control of systems, but the future definition of intelligence in the galaxy itself. After the repeated failures of invasion, observation, and psychological disruption, the Galactic Council finally reached a point of instability where fear replaced strategy, and debate turned into division, because every faction now interpreted Earth differently, some calling it an unpredictable primitive world that had developed extreme defensive adaptation, others calling it a hidden military civilization that had been preparing in silence for centuries, and a few even suggesting something more disturbing, that Earth was not simply reacting but evolving through contact itself. And within this chaos, Commander Varric Lawn became a central figure of contradiction, because he had witnessed Earth's defenses firsthand and survived only by retreat, while Admiral Sornvel still pushed for total destruction, refusing to accept any interpretation that did not end with alien superiority. And meanwhile, High Analyst Corindal warned that every engagement with Earth resulted in accelerated system growth on the human side, meaning the more the galaxy attacked, the stronger humanity became, and this created a dangerous paradox where war itself was fueling the enemy, while on Earth the Silent Shield Protocol had entered its highest developmental stage, integrating every recovered alien fragment into a unified planetary intelligence network that operated across oceans, continents, and orbits simultaneously. And Jiho and Hannah, now deeply embedded in the central command structure under Commander Taehyun, observed this transformation with growing concern and awe, because Earth's defense system no longer behaved like separate military branches but like a single continuous decision-making entity, adjusting global readiness in seconds based on distant cosmic activity. And Jiho noticed that the system was now simulating alien strategies before they even occurred, while Hannah pointed out that intercepted alien communications were being used as training data for predictive conflict modeling, and Commander Taehyun confirmed that humanity had entered what he called continuous war awareness, meaning the planet was permanently in a state of strategic anticipation, not because it wanted war, but because it could no longer afford surprise. And far beyond Earth, the Alien Council attempted one final diplomatic effort, sending a massive unified broadcast across all known frequencies, offering peace, integration, and shared governance. But this time Earth responded differently, not with silence or counterattack, but with a controlled informational mirror, reflecting back a complete breakdown of the Alien Council's own structure, political factions, communication weaknesses, and fleet coordination patterns. And this shocked the Council because it proved Earth had fully mapped their civilization from intercepted fragments alone. And Jiho saw the display in disbelief as alien home sectors, leadership hierarchies, and even internal disputes were reconstructed in real time on Earth's command screens. And Hannah realized that humanity was no longer just reacting to threats but building complete understanding of entire civilizations through limited contact. And this realization created fear even within Earth's leadership, because understanding an enemy at this level meant humanity was now capable of targeting not just ships but systems of thought. And soon after, the Alien Council authorized what they called the Unified Pressure Campaign, a final attempt to overwhelm Earth using combined fleets, economic blockades of nearby systems, and coordinated energy disruption fields designed to collapse planetary infrastructure without direct landing. And when this massive operation began, space around the solar system filled with alien formations, unlike anything seen before. And for a moment even Earth's systems showed signs of strain, because the scale of incoming coordination was beyond previous encounters. But instead of panicking, Earth activated its deepest hidden layer, a system that Jiho had only heard described in classified briefings called the continuity grid, which connected every defense platform into a self-repairing, self-rewriting network that could reorganize global strategy instantly, and Hannah watched as incoming alien fleets were not just intercepted but redirected into failure paths that had been mathematically prepared in advance, as if Earth had already simulated this exact invasion thousands of times, and Commander Taehyun explained that the system was now running predictive war models continuously using alien behavioral data, meaning Earth was no longer learning during conflict, it was learning before conflict occurred, and in space Admiral Sornvel led the central assault wave personally, believing that overwhelming force would break Earth's adaptive cycle. But as his fleet advanced, they encountered something unexpected, because Earth's response was not uniform defense but adaptive segmentation, dividing alien formations into isolated groups and feeding each group different sets of false tactical realities, causing confusion across entire fleets that could no longer coordinate effectively, and Commander Varek Lon, observing this collapse from a separate command vessel, finally admitted that Earth was not fighting like a civilization defending territory but like an intelligence dismantling another intelligence layer by layer, and this realization broke long-standing assumptions within the alien command structure, causing several fleets to withdraw independently without orders, and in the chaos Admiral Sornvel attempted a final energy convergence strike that required full fleet synchronization, but synchronization failed because Earth's interference had already fragmented their command network, and the attack collapsed mid-execution, destroying parts of the alien formation itself, while Earth remained untouched, and Jiho saw the system mark the event not as victory but as threat neutralization incomplete, suggesting that humanity did not yet consider the conflict resolved, and Hannah quietly asked what would happen if Earth decided the war was necessary to end permanently, and Taehyun did not answer immediately, because even he understood that humanity now possessed the capability not just to defend Earth, but to pursue enemies across systems if required, and as surviving alien fleets retreated in disarray, transmitting urgent warnings back to the Galactic Council, the political structure of the galaxy began to fracture under pressure of contradiction, because no unified theory of Earth's behavior could explain what had been observed, and in the final moments of this campaign, Commander Varek Lon sent his last official report stating that humanity was no longer a developing species but a rapidly evolving strategic intelligence operating at planetary scale, and High Analyst Corendal added a final note, suggesting that continued contact with Earth might permanently alter the balance of power across the galaxy. And as these reports spread, fear replaced curiosity in many sectors, and Earth remained silent not because it was weak or passive, but because it was watching, learning, and preparing for whatever form the next contact would take. And in that silence both humanity and the galaxy understood one truth without speaking it aloud. The conflict had not ended, it had only changed shape.